Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show. Everyone and anyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smart ass than a dumbass. Because, guys, 33 years ago, I was a dumbass. But today, 33 years later, through the grace of God, I can honestly say now I'm a smart ass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible at least 40 times, and it means donkey, and that's what I was. I'm saying all that to say this, we've lost so many people over the last few years, and a lot through addiction. And I want everybody out there to know someone is listening. I'm a nutritional health coach, and I'm also a recovery coach. All my services to you are free. Please reach out. If you think my book can help someone, because I sure do, you can go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing, Barnes & Noble, BAM, Amazon, and you can go to my website, www.geripetito.com. Before I introduce my incredible guest, I want to read a few of my sponsors. Okay, first of all, I have Michael D'Amore, singer, songwriter, performer, entertainer, www.michaeldamore.com. The guy's off the charts. Please check him out. Then I've got John Manforto, the man of many faces, singer, actor, celebrity impersonator, and tribute artist. I gave him the title, the man of many faces. He does about 30, and they're all off the charts. He was given the title by a former Philadelphia mayor as the official Philadelphia Rocky impersonator. And of course, my three favorites, I'm the Italian, is Rocky, The Godfather, and then, come on, Elvis, right? www.johnmanforto.com. Michael Zanman, singer, entertainer, performer. The guy's so crazy funny. He'll have you dying. He's awesome. Great singer. www.mzanman.com. John Bishop, a.k.a. Johnny B., singer-songwriter. He's the host of the Entertainment Luncheon South, a nonprofit network created for the creative. Guys, he is amazing. He doesn't make a penny. He does this show, this luncheon, every single month, once a month. You pay $20 and you get a meal and you also get entertainment. Okay? What he does for everybody, he supports all of us. He puts all our stuff out. Johnny B., we love you. He's also the partner in the Joey D and Johnny B. Rockin' Oldies band. Ken Ryan and Linda Garofalo, The Way It Used to Be. The 50s through the 80s, a tribute to the greatest music and voices of all time. And I want to really thank them because they do so many fundraisers. They just keep giving and giving and giving. They're two amazing, incredible people, beautiful inside and out. And he's also done some Elvis for me, baby. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Last but certainly not least, Stormin' Norman Selden, 732-245-4777, www.storminnormanselden.com, booking dozens of attractions for concerts and performances on venues of all sizes. Guys, he has from a 5 to 12-piece band as needed. Amazing. He's a keyboard artist. First of all, the band is off the charts. And what a lot of people didn't know is he helped get Larry Chance started. How about that? So rest in peace, Larry Chance. You know how much we all love and miss you. So now, guys, I bring it, right? Well, honey, I am bringing it again. And, I have somebody that's been on my show many times. He's a good friend of mine. And he actually invited me to my very first red carpet. I'm going to introduce him first as how I know him. and what he means to me. My Philly Elvis guy. Yes, that's right. Nick Ferraro, say hello.
Jerry, hello. And my only regret is I'm not sitting right next to
know.
you, dear.
I know.
So,
It will
it's
happen.
been a long time.
It will happen again, I promise.
All right. I missed the hug.
I can't wait to hug you again. Okay, so now Grayson Berry. He's sitting here as well with us. Say hello to everyone.
Hey, everyone. Jerry, thanks so much for having us.
You know, I'm going to let you talk first. Tell everyone about you first, Grayson.
Okay. The short story is grew up in Texas, went to college in San Diego, and worked as a sports anchor for CBS and Fox on the Central Coast, which is like Pismo Beach, San Luis Obispo. Gave that up to become an actor. Started doing that in 2002. And once I started doing passion projects, Jerry, which is, what Nick and I are doing together, I sort of now put that as the number one, which is kind of bringing people's scripts and hearts to the screen. And I've been doing that for about 14 years now. Live in West New York, New Jersey. Nick and I met doing a fun musical called Gravy and Sauce.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you were reading off your sponsors, and it sounded like the cast list. Didn't it? The Garoppolo's. The East Coast is my favorite place I've ever lived. I always say if I could have skipped LA knowing what I know now, I would have come straight here.
So you were in Gravy and Sauce?
I was.
I was there.
You were? Well, I was in two of them. There's like 6 incarnations.
Oh, okay. I was in the first one.
Oh no. I wasn't.
Okay.
Well, she was the one that the one that I was in. Yes or no?
Yes, I was at the one you were in.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wasn't in that one with you.
Yes, he was.
Oh, so I was there.
That's when I met Grayson.
Yeah.
That's when I first met him.
Okay. Yes. Okay, that was so cool. Okay. Oh wait, I don't know if you remember any of these silly photos or I had a T-shirt made that I wore, and I call it Gravy. So I had this whole funny T-shirt made with their logo, and I'm like, no, they're wrong. It's Gravy kind of thing. It was really cute. So I don't know if you remember any of that, but yes, I was there.
They could have used you.
So, okay, Nick, tell everyone a little bit about you.
Well, there's just so much to tell, Jerry.
Well, tell everyone how you. Come on, wait. Start with the Philly Elvis. Come on, do that for me.
Well, okay, so born and raised in South Philly, and I don't know when. Oh, I was trying to think when you and I had first met, and I think it was through somebody had contacted you about me because I was an Elvis tribute artist for many years,
right,
since the mid '80s up into I guess just recent, really.
Okay.
And the Philly Elvis comes from fulfilling my dream of being on stage with Bruce Springsteen. So November 19th, 2009 at the Spectrum, I went in my Elvis suit. My wife and I, we had a sign that said, "Can the King sing with the boss?" And we were right in front of the stage, and during the middle of a show, he was doing All Shook Up, and he calls me up, and he just handed me the mic, and the rest is history. And when I left the stage, he said, the Philly Elvis gave me the name, and it definitely has stuck since then. So that's where the name had come from.
That's
from the boss himself.
There you go. Very cool. Yeah. So continue.
What's the name of the documentary, Nick? What's the name of the documentary?
Yeah, so anybody, if you want to see the whole situation, they interviewed my wife and I in South Philadelphia on a park bench as we were eating a cheesesteak, telling the story. So we would tell the story, and then they would show the actual footage of me on stage with Bruce. So you can see the whole thing on a documentary called Springsteen and I. And it was first released in theaters worldwide. And then it was later on Netflix, and remains on Netflix under documentaries, but it's called Springsteen and I. And it's basically a documentary of how the fans interact with Bruce. And we were, I guess, one of the main topics of it. So yeah, it was fun.
That is so cool. So now, gosh, I mean, you're involved with so much. Talk about it.
So well, you know what? Hey Grayson, why don't you
Yep.
share? Because I know my wife and I just started watching The Chosen. You know, The Chosen, the series, and we've never watched it before, so we started watching. I can't wait to get to the episode that Grayson's in.
Okay.
So, Grayson, maybe why don't you start there and then just talk about what's going on with you?
Well, okay. Okay. So the documentary that Nick and I are making together is called Faith and Miracles. And I was going to use this as an example. So it's interesting that you bring up The Chosen, because Luis Villegas, Patty, is the subject of this documentary Nick and I are doing together, gets cured of cancer. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But it's also about miracles in general and what qualifies as a miracle. Who's to say what's a miracle and what's not? So a miracle that happened in my life fairly recently was, so my mom was going into surgery, and she had an infection in her knee. And my mom's older; she's 75. And so I had been fortunate enough, been blessed enough to get a small miracle. And I was shooting a film, a romantic comedy in Dallas, where she lives. And I then go to set, and the producer says, "Hey, Grayson, we like to pray before we work." And I said, "Oh, great! I'm a Christian. I'll pray." And he said, "Well, go ahead," in front of the entire cast and crew. Go right ahead. And so anyway, every day during that shoot, I was praying, and so I was really in touch there. And then in the last day of that shoot, I get a call from my agent that says I booked The Chosen. And I watched The Chosen through the pandemic. It really helped lift my spirits and get me through some tough times during the pandemic. And I cried during all the Jesus miracles. So they had created a role for me. They created a Greek role for me called Aramis. He's basically arguing with Jesus. But so I got to stay another 3 weeks, the exact amount of time that my mom needed to recover. I was able to be by her side and help her recover. And I consider that a miracle. Both really came out of nowhere. I say that to say I really, Luis is the subject of the documentary. He's the reason, that Nick sort of, once he's cured of cancer and the doctor comes in and Luis thinks he's so far gone that they're pulling him out because they couldn't do anything. And the doctor says, "Do you believe in miracles? Because you're my first." And it's so that sort of was the cornerstone. And then as I met Luis, as we went to St. John's Hopkins and did this stuff, I really started racking my brain and saying, I think it's bigger. It's, especially now, Patty, with all the negativity, et cetera, praying for miracles and seeing miracles, whether it comes through you or happens to you, is so important. So that's just a little bit about The Chosen with some of the stuff we're doing as well.
Wait, I have to comment on something you said. So the part that you're in, you're arguing with God. I always say this. Listen, I always say I can't act, okay, because I can't memorize the words and all that, whatever. But I always argue with God. And when you said that, I'm cracking up laughing, and I'm thinking that would be the part. If they gave me a part with God, it would be arguing with God, but not in a bad way. I'm always saying, I always say, God, you can't whisper to me. You have to really, tap me on the shoulder, and, So I love that.
And Jerry, so that really shows how good of an actor Grayson is, because if there's anyone that would never argue with Jesus, it would be Grayson. But he's arguing with him in the Chosen. So there you go.
Can you give me 20-second line of something you're saying to God? Can you do it?
So
Come on.
it's the capitalist. So we're surrounding Jesus and we're peppering him with questions. And I'm the Greeks are rivals with the Jewish people. So I have to be the bad guy in the scene, and say things like, "Your laws against food and purity are laughable," Just, and yeah. So it was fantastic, but at the same time, you're sitting there looking at Jonathan Rumi, who plays Jesus, nicest guy, and thinking, "Wow, I'm arguing with Jesus." This is
That's so
a little
cool.
voice in the back of your head.
That's so cool. So, all right, Nick, you talk a little now.
So, well, I'll give you some little bit updates on myself because we do want to get to what
Yep.
Grayson just brought up, which
Yep.
is the documentary that Grayson and I are producing,
Yep.
which we believe will change lives
Okay.
when this documentary is released. But so I had met Grayson with the musical, and we had become friends from that, which is fantastic. And you mentioned about being on the red carpet with the premiere of Backfire, which people can watch on Amazon.
Yep.
I play a hitman in the mob there. I know it's hard to believe, but yes, I do play a a hitman in the mob there. And so over the years, I've done a lot of things with acting, and just so fortunate, thanks to Grayson. So at the time, I didn't have an agent. Grayson has an agent, and Grayson's agent sent Grayson an audition.
Okay.
Grayson looks at it and tells his agent, "Listen, I really appreciate the offer here, but I know a guy I think that could do a real good job." So Grayson contacts me, and because of that, I ended up signing with the agent, same agent as Grayson, and I auditioned for a role in the Robert De Niro movie, which is coming out this November.
Yay!
And it landed. So I was in Ohio for a couple of weeks. That's where they shot it, and it's about real people. I play Carmine Lilo Galante, who was the consigliere of the Joe Bonanno crime family. And Robert De Niro, interesting enough, and this is public knowledge, you can pull this up, he actually plays two characters in the movie. He plays Frank Costello, and he also plays Vito Genovese.
Okay.
And I actually had an opportunity to be in a scene with Robert De Niro, and produced by Warner Brothers. And my scene was with Lou Mastillo. A few of my scenes was Lou Mastillo. Lou Mastillo, great actor. He's in Mike and Molly.
Okay.
He's Molly's mom's boyfriend,
Okay.
and just a really nice guy. And so anyway, looking forward to that. That's coming out this November. And again, who does that in our industry? I mean, for Grayson to pass that along to me is just, believe me, that's not the norm in our industry.
No, it's not.
Not at all. So, but so Grace and I have done a few things then, and what happened was, and I want to start talking about it.
Can I interrupt you? I don't like interrupting.
Sure.
You know that, but I don't want to forget to say this. This is silly.
No, go ahead.
Backfire. So I remember sitting there, and I'm not going to say the scene, but you know what scene I'm talking about, the little kid. And I said, I'm like, my heart is pounding, and I said, no, he's not playing a role like that. No. And then I was able to breathe and smile, and I was like, I love him more.
Well, in that premiere, I actually had a woman yell at me after that scene. Seriously, you heard in the theater of that scene, and I just looked at the woman. I'm like, listen, I'm just an actor.
But you didn't really do anything wrong, so you know what I mean.
But then it comes. You'll see where.
Yes.
I wasn't as bad as people thought I was.
That's right.
And so I don't want to give anything away.
Don't give it away. I think about that all the time, and I was like, oh, I love him. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. So I guess it was a little over a year ago. I reached out to Grayson and shared with him what I had just recently experienced with a friend of mine, Luis, who Grayson had brought up. Basically, he after seeing his doctor a few times because he had a major pain in his side, excuse me, and was actually peeing blood, that he ended up finding out that he had 8 tumors on his bladder, and it wasn't good. So the one of the largest tumors they took out, and it was so bad that the specialist that took it out said, listen, I need to recommend you need to go someone that specializes in this form of cancer, because he wasn't quite sure how bad it was. Really bad, but he just wasn't sure exactly what the cancer was and everything else. So that's when he started to go to Johns Hopkins. But prior to Johns Hopkins, he ended up, what we believe, and we actually have proof, which we will show in the documentary, of a miracle,
Okay.
where he took a picture of a full moon because initially there was a cross appearing on the moon. His neighbor came out, saw the cross, but when he took the pictures,
It was Jesus.
the next day, what's that?
It was Jesus.
Well, the next day, there was no cross on the moon, but he saw a spot above the moon.
Yeah.
And when he opened it up, it was the face of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You sent me that.
We
Yes.
have that.
Yes, you sent me that. Ah.
Yeah, and we have that. So that will be in the documentary. So with that, he went to Johns Hopkins, and they had him do. They told him, they said, you have stage 4 cancer. I mean, this isn't good at all. It's getting into the kidney and everything else. So what they agreed on was that they're going to do this special treatment where they actually shoot it into the bladder. It's a form of chemo, but it doesn't affect anything other than the goal was to shrink the tumors to a point where then the surgeon at Johns Hopkins can operate, and fingers crossed and praying that let's take all the tumors out and the cancer. That was the goal. So when he went to Johns Hopkins for that operation, that's when, and Grayson touched on it, when he went in supposedly for the operation, but woke up, instead of 3 hours later, he woke up 20 minutes later, found out he wasn't operated on. The surgeon came in and said, listen, do you believe in miracles? This is my first miracle. He said, when I did the scope before the operation, nothing was there. Nothing. No tumors, no cancer, nothing. All gone. So this is a story that I was told, and I needed to share this. So that's when I reached out to Grayson, and this is the documentary that we're putting together. I financed. We started shooting it. We shot it when he had to go back to Johns Hopkins to get another scope, just to make sure. It was a 6-month, to look at it. And that's when we filmed the whole ride down. We filmed Luis. We were in there. And once again, completely, he's got a brand new bladder. Like, there's nothing there. So I financed the first half, and we are looking to, get people that wants to be part of this to finance the second half of this. And, and Grayson, I don't know if you want to touch on it, but everything is outlined as to, where does this production go when it's done? I don't know, Grayson, if you want to touch on that, but.
Yeah. I'm happy to. Well, Patty, I think the doctor said something really cool during our shooting of this. And I asked him if he was a man of faith. And he said, yes, I believe that faith gets you to the right people. And I thought that was a really powerful comment that just came up when Nick was talking, and that we had the doctor interviewed who did the endoscopy review in his follow-up, and he said, I believe, yes, I'm a man of faith, and yes, I believe that when you believe, the right people come into your life, the right people step forward. So I've sold some films. I've sold a sports documentary, and I've sold a feature horror film, actually. And so I know a fair amount of distributors now, and you have to get out there and make your first filmmaker mistakes, Patty. That's sort of the answer, right? You make those mistakes that everybody makes, and now how to play it differently. And so with this, the reason we're able to return a profit to the investors is basically I've seen as an actor and a director and a producer how frivolously money is spent, how wasteful it's spent. And I'm able to, as a producer in a production company, make things that are very efficient and streamlined and get people their money, which in our business is kind of unheard of. You'll hear a lot of stories about people never getting their money back in films. We can actually turn a profit, which is great. But neither Nick nor I are going to be driving to the bank rich men after this. We just want to get it out to the world because we think it's very timely. And again, I think a lot of people can resonate with whether it's a small miracle or a big miracle, and tuning into that and hearing Luis's story, and maybe some other people as well who've had some miracles, big and small. And then we're also going to bring in, Patty, some contrarians, because every good documentary and every good story has to have that yin and yang. So we're going to bring in an atheist. We're going to bring in an astronomer to debunk the moon, and a series of people, men on the street kind of stuff, to make that complete picture whole. Because Luis, is a man of extreme faith, and we're all on this. I mean, I'm on a different walk. I started my walk 4 or 5 years ago. So after practicing Buddhism for 15 years, pretty steadily. So we're all at different phases. And I really think my mission, at least as a producer director in the Christian film community, is to bring those people like myself who were skeptical growing up and had questions, and like you said earlier, argued with God, and have come full circle to that surrender of, I'm handing it over. Clearly, I don't know the answers. And Luis is just a phenomenal example of just laying it at God's feet and saying, I trust. What did he say, Nick? He said, I'm going to be good either way. He said, if God takes me, I'm in heaven. And if he leaves me here, I get to stay with my wife. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful.
So, all right. So this is so amazing, everything that you're saying. Can you share something about your upbringing and what made you go into Buddhism and now becoming a Christian? Because there's a lot of people listening. Like, I was brought up Catholic. Of course, I left the Catholic Church. I'm a Christian now. I've been a Christian for a long time. But can you talk a little bit, like a few minutes, about your journey?
Sure. So my aunt was on the World Religion Council, and she practiced this Buddhism, and she'd come to visit us in Houston, and she'd put up her Gohanzen and she'd chant this mantra. And she said, I was in 3rd grade, and she said, Grayson, I want you to put a wish up there and chant for it. And I said, okay. And so I chanted for a date with this girl in my 3rd grade class. And the next day we got put into a group together, and I ended up dating Alice Ann Dodge. But very briefly, went to Showbiz Pizza, the good stuff. Anyway, so I guess that seed was planted. So when I transferred, Patty, from sports broadcasting to acting late in life at 27, I thought I needed everything sort of going for me. I needed some extra something. And so I reached out to her and said, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to just start from scratch at 27. I need some foundational stuff. So, the Buddhism, it's the same with every religion, right, Patty? The religion or philosophy is sound, but it's the people that can screw it up, right? It's the dogma. So the chanting was great for me because I was a proactive person, and it was a proactive exercise. And this is a really tough business, and I think it helped me motivate in that way. However, I finally got to a place, I think everybody gets there at some point, where you realize, I'm not in control. I can't muscle everything to make it. I have to learn how to let go and let God. And as soon as I turned it over, as soon as I surrendered everything and just said, look, you can take me. If you come down and say, hey, Grayson, look, buddy, we've been analyzing this for a while, and you're not going to make it. I would say, I get it, buddy. But I also saw my dad, who passed away in 2009 from cancer, small cell lung cancer, and I watched the way my dad finished his life. and I watched the way God took him and made him a whole and made him, he was probably the happiest he ever was the last year of his life when he was on chemo because he was at peace. And that sort of turned me in, the more recent walk into giving my life to God and Jesus. It's a constant, but I'm reading the Bible fairly regularly in the New Testament, et cetera, et cetera. And uh, it's miracle after miracle. And it just, being of service is, it's just more rewarding. Patty, as an actor, when you get a big gig, I've never done heroin, but I can imagine that's kind of what it's like. You're that high. Everybody, hey, Patty, what can I get you? What do you need? Everything's about you, and it's very intoxicating. It's kind of wonderful. Then it's over, and if you're me and you're making a living at it, you're going, what's next? And it's the only profession I know where you can do. I've done 75 TV shows and films, and still feel like you've never done it a day in your life. It's very strange that way. So God is constantly. I wouldn't exist. I wouldn't be, if I didn't do my prayer. So yeah.
Thank you for that. Nick, do you want to share a little bit about your walk?
Growing up in the Catholic as well, and I have pretty much stayed the course from the beginning. Really, in strong faith of my mother, who really, after she got divorced with my dad, guess it was in the 81, that she devoted pretty much her entire life to the church, and watching her, and actually, I think, witnessed a couple miracles. One, my grandfather, who was dying of cancer, her father, in the hospital, and he didn't wake up for he, not to say he passed out, but he wasn't coherent or whatever for like a day and a half. He was in so much pain, and they were giving him morphine and everything. And then she prayed over him, and for the first time, he opened up his eyes and was at peace. And it was shortly after that he had passed, but things like that. And then one time, my niece, who was very sick, and my mom would look after her, and she came home from school, and she was laying on the couch, and it was right around her birthday. So she opened up her birthday gift my mom gave her, and she was laying on the couch, and the tissue inside the box, to wrap the gift, was thrown on the table, like the small coffee table, you call it, whatever. So my mom took a picture of my niece laying there, right? She looks at the picture, and she's like, I don't have the statue of the Blessed Mother like that. Where did that statue come from? And she was looking afterwards, when she got the development of the picture, like she looked over the house for this statue. She doesn't have it. Here, when she showed everybody, we figured out the tissue paper from the box, because she prayed over my niece because she was sick, and then she took the picture. The tissue formed the Virgin Mother. Like, I'm telling you, like, you look at it and you're thinking, yeah, it's a statue of the Blessed Mother. And so things like that, and there's others. And then, again, with Luis, and I got to tell you, I don't go around beating my chest of saying Jesus and everything else, but at the same time, I just get amazed as I just don't understand when people say there's no higher power.
Yes.
I just don't understand, but
Well, I do go around saying Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. I do. I'm going to share a little story with you, and then I'm going to read my Jesus poem out of my book. I wasn't reading that poem. I was reading a different one. I just moved. I'm going to read that one to you. So my dad accepted Jesus in a tomb in Israel. We went to Israel years ago, and he's gone now, and he's okay. So he accepted Jesus. I got photos of us sitting in the tomb, photos of us standing by the tree he was crucified on. It was amazing. So my father's in hospice years ago, and he was in hospice on his birthday. He was there for 4 days, and I stayed with him for 4 nights. And I whisper in his ear. He couldn't hear me. He was out of it. He had Alzheimer's, and they had him under. And I said, Dad, you were the most amazing man that walked this earth next to Jesus. Wouldn't it be amazing if you met Jesus on your birthday? Because I can't imagine you passing and that date not being significant. He didn't die on his birthday. The next day comes, all the Italians, his family comes, okay? They said, do you know what today is? Today was the 40th anniversary of my dad's father's passing. My father died that night. Italians like to say things, so I wasn't sure if that was true. Of course, I went home. I found my grandfather's thing because we have to save them. Not only did my father die on the 40th anniversary of his own father, he died almost the same time. And I'll never forget that. So for me, that was a miracle. That was God saying he is going to die on a significant date. Don't worry, we got this. So I'm going to read a little bit from my Jesus poem because it's way too long. I'm not reading the whole thing, okay? I'm just going to read some parts of it. So many religions have surfaced today. Most of us wonder which one's the right way. Being brought up Catholic, I wasn't a fan. I always struggled with listening to man. I wasn't buying the crap that they said. My salvation's in Jesus through his bloody shed. Not sacraments and giving cash, confessional boots and Wednesday's ash. These rules they speak of are all man-made. When you open the Bible, man's words will fade. You won't find them in there because God said it clear. You won't work your way into heaven, my dear. Most big religions have put God away. They want your alliance and what you can pay. What Jesus nailed upon that cross before his last breath he took, his words were spoken for us to hear. It is finished, and left us his book. I tell you the truth, there's only one God. When you take your last breath, he'll greet you and nod. I hope you are ready to meet him that day. Want to hear him say, well done, instead of casting you away. My works are just worthless. I'd end up in hell. That's why he sent Jesus. Now in heaven, I'll dwell. I'm not ashamed to proclaim his name. I'm not ashamed, it's God I claim. The world stirs hate, but God stirs love. The world's lost faith is found up above. The world says God's a myth. Just like you were saying, right? The world says God is fake. God says I'm really here. God says I'm no mistake. God says, listen, I'm here for you. Just come to me, I'll make you new. You laugh at him and curse his name. You dance with evil in this war game. Religion is false as can be, was made by man and not by he. Religion still has God nailed to that cross, making you think the church is your boss. He no longer dangles on the cross from that day. He's free from that cross. Jesus now made the way. We wear a cross because we're his kid, to be reminded what this man did. The crucifix should not be worn. Religion keeps God on the cross and scorn. Man-made rules to cost a fee. The price of Jesus to you is free. I'll protect you and guide you as long as you want. Tell me your sorrows, I'm your confidant. I'm your heavenly father, you're my earthly kid. There was a price on you to the highest of bid. It was then that I marked you and said you were mine. I knew at that moment you were made to shine. I'll never put rules on the way you should live. I gave you free will, from my life I did give. Ask him to take over, because you are way too weak. I promise strength he'll give you, if only Jesus you seek. It is finished were his last words. His flock will now be marching in herds. It is finished, I know he said, now you can live and not be dead. So ask Jesus to free you of bondage Satan holds. Ask Jesus to stand guard as the Bible now unfolds. All that was written is being played out. Will you be ready, or will you have doubt? Will you be ready the day he returns, or left behind to feel the burns? My prayer is this, that you take heed to know the reason Jesus did bleed. The time is here. It really is. Will you be ready to say you're his? There you go, boys. I just had to read that one.
Very
I had
nice.
to read that one.
Very nice.
I just had to. So,
Beautiful.
so thanks for sharing your walk. Now, continue with everything else that you want to get out there, everything that's going on. Let's go.
Well, again, it's really it's the documentary, that we're producing, and actually, Grace, I don't know if you want to even talk about. Right now, he's actually producing a feature as well.
Okay.
You want to talk about that, Grace?
Sure. So my co-collaborator, Patty, the greatest collaborator I've ever had, Thomas Ryan Ward. He's in New Jersey, and Ryan has written a World According to Garp meets Christmas Carol. If that can happen with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure sprinkled in there. I play his imaginary friend. We have a time traveling elevator, and it's really Ryan's life on the screen. Ryan had a substance abuse problem, and that's in the film. It's basically he's wanting to be a writer, a novelist, and the company's taken over. The publishing company's taken over by a Chinese company, and it's really kind of a dark comedy and a commentary on righting our wrongs. We jump from genre to genre, and I help him, basically guide him along the way to becoming one with himself and coming to terms with his substance abuse, and sort of lightening his load, if you will. And Nick has a part in there as well. Nick plays a really funny waiter, kind of very similar to what he played in Gravy and Sauce. Yeah, I mean, Nick is so castable as an actor, Patty, and I knew that anything Sopranos, 6 degrees from Sopranos, Nick is perfect for. He should get everything that comes, down the pipe that has that stuff on it. So it was fun. He's so easy to cast and fun to work with. So yeah, we're doing that movie. We're halfway finished with that. And anything you're shooting independently, Patty, is just really hard. It really is the 1% versus the 99% in the sense of, Netflix and Hulu. It's all original programming now. So, they're knocking on the door from William Morris and saying, "Hey, Patty, what do you need this week?" And you say, "I need real crime thriller." And so instead of, venturing outside of that circle, so I'm helping, people who don't know how to get their script to the screen. And we know from the connections that I have that we can get our piece on Amazon, Apple TV, Tubi, Roku, and there's new platforms popping up all the time. And Pure Flix, of course, faith-based, and some others. But it really is just a question of, finishing at this point. We need about $100,000 to finish what we need to, and I have every faith that we'll find it. And if anybody wants to reach out and learn about the project, they can go to GraysonBerryProductions.com, and we've got the sizzle reel up there. And I'm always taking emails from people who have questions, whether it's about their own personal passion project or our projects. And I really enjoy that part of it, helping people who just don't know how to play this game, because there's a lot of pretenders and there's a lot of false hope, and the story.
Yep.
So Jerry, we just believe that and Grayson did touch on it, the way the world is today and where it's headed, that we feel that this is so important that we get this out. And Grayson also said about a sizzle reel. It's what we shot with the documentary. So we're about halfway done. And if anybody wants to maybe understand what we're trying to do, just look at the sizzle, and you'll see Luis but yeah, I mean, if anybody out there that just believes in what we're doing, and we can talk to you and let them know that this is going to change lives, absolutely. So if anybody's out there and wants to see how they can help financially or whatever, please reach out to Grayson. What is it again, Grace?
GraysonBerryProductions.com. Grayson with an A, Berry with an E. That'll get you there. Contact at GraysonBerryProductions.com is my email. I mean, we are also actively looking for people who have miracles to share, Patty. So if any of your listeners have a story like some of the ones we've told here in this interview, we'd love to hear it. We'd love to get them on camera and talk about it, because Even hearing it, I think they've even done scientific studies and whatnot that even being in the presence of it benefits people. Even getting to see it, getting to hear it, and spreading that idea that nothing's impossible to God.
I want to share something with you. It was a family miracle, I'm going to say, and it was about my book. So I was woken up in the middle of the night, and I kid you not, and I see Jesus. I see Jesus as we would know him, okay? And he has his robe on, and he has his arms like this, and he's in the like corner of my wall, and he's looking at me, and I sit up, and I'm going like this to my eyes, and I'm like, what? Is that really you, God? And I hear these words, everything's going to be okay. That's what I heard. So I'm like, God, is that really you? And the next thing I know, he's smiling at me and he's going away. So I'm all like, oh my gosh, I just saw Jesus. I just saw Jesus. So I didn't know what was going to happen, but some things went on. And then the next thing I know, a little while later, I get woken up in the middle of the night. I don't see God, but I hear, write your book. So I've had poems published in the past, but I've never written a book. So I giggled and I was like, is that you, God? You want me to write a book? Write your book. So I giggled and I said, okay, I'll write it. And it was in 2016. And my father, again, had Alzheimer's, and me and my brother were his caretaker. But I would fast every year for a month and stay in the house. So I called my brother, and I didn't tell him or my daughter I'm writing a book. And I said, listen, you're on dad duty. I'm going to fast this month. He's like, great. The book was written in 3 weeks. So I say God wrote this book. And I am not kidding you. God wrote this book. My friend comes over. I handwrote it. Okay, I had it revived and I added a lot to it in 2020. But the first part of it, I called my friend laughing. I said I had to handwrite it because I'm not good with the computer, blah, blah, blah. She comes over. She gets it in. Her uncle used to be an author. And she said, Jerry, now listen, we have to send this to a ton of publishers. They may like it. They may not. It could take years. I said, no, no, no. God wrote it. Simon and Schuster. She laughed and said, okay. I said, put your contact info also. Long story short, 5 days later, I'm on a three-way with my friend and Simon and Schuster. They love my book. They're publishing it. Okay. What I didn't know was this. It was to save 2 family members. It was to save 2 of my family members. And they're, one of them especially is mentioned in here. He was with me as a teenager through my addiction. He never left my side, my cousin. We lived on the same country road. He's gay. I could talk about it now. He's living in Florida. And he calls me up one day. My book was published. I don't have my copies yet. He says, my name is Jerry, but he calls me John. My cousins call me John. He says, John, read some stuff out of your book. I'm taking the Sun. I didn't know it. He was doing crystal meth while we were talking. 2 days later, I told him he was the first when I got my shipment I was signing the book to. Sure enough, I call him up. Guess what? I leave a message. I got the book. You're the first one I signed. I get a message from his sister. We need you tonight. Michael's lost his mind. So it was so bad. He's doing great now. So he never let go of my book. And God knew it had to be done when it had to be done. So to me, that was an incredible miracle. So, and here I am today because of the book now doing radio, and I've helped save through God a lot of people's lives. So what you're doing, both of you, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, you're going to touch more than that one person, because everybody says even if we touch one person, what you're doing is going to touch more than one person. So never stop doing what you guys are doing, please, I'm begging you. It's incredible.
Yeah. No, appreciate that. Thanks for sharing that story too. It's remarkable.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we are moving forward, and we'll keep you updated. And if you want to shout it out on the updates, we appreciate it. But we'll keep you updated on that. So I think Grayson and I, and we do have a lot going on, and not just that, but other projects as well. And I mean, thanks for letting us share it.
Do you want to share about other projects as well? We have a few minutes.
Grace,
talk
you want to
about-
go first?
No, buddy. Why don't you talk about brotherly love or mob sense?
Yeah, so there's a feature that I had written, and working with some great people. We have a sizzle for that as well, but as the same story goes, it's trying to get the financing to finish it. But it's a drama comedy, and it's about two brothers. They are in the mob, and they are sort of I don't want to say knuckleheads, but they sort of get into trouble. And there's a love story involved. There's a lot of things in it, and it touches all the emotions of an individual, of a human, right? It's got the love story. I wrote this so when people can see the final product, they'll laugh, they'll cry, they'll get nervous. It's got everything involved. So I'm working on that. And then also going back to, I guess, somewhat my roots, where Geri, we're not doing an Elvis show, but I did form a band with some of the old guys from the old Fabulous Heartbreak Band, and we're doing 60s, 70s, and 80s music of great dance, fun, high energy music. Nick Ferraro and the All Stars.
Yes.
We've been rehearsing, and I got 3 bookings right now. We start performing in May, and it's going to be just that. It's just going to be some fun. Everybody's going to know the songs. They're going to sing along, dance, high energy, one after another. So we're going to be starting that in May. We've been rehearsing, and it's a 6-piece band. Drummer, bass, guitar, sax, keyboard, and myself. I pretty much share the lead singing with Mike, who I played with for 11, 12 years with the Heartbreak Band. Mike's a tremendous singer, musician, and so it's going to be fun. So that's
so cool.
That's
I'm
sort of
so
new
happy
on
you're
the slate.
doing
And
that.
we are going to do it a little Elvis medley
Okay.
as part of the songs. So.
Okay. Get me the schedule, please. Where you guys
I
are going to
will.
be. All right. So I don't want you to get off saying, "Oh, we forgot to say this, or this." So Grayson, the mic is yours. What else would you like to share?
I think we've pretty much said it all. I think one of the biggest parts of this documentary, for me personally, I guess, I already kind of touched on it, is the uniting of us at this particular time in our history, across differences, across borders, across boundaries. And what I love about New York so much, Patty, somebody asked me this the other day at a coffee shop. They said, what do you love about this so much? And I said, I'll tell you what I love about it is you get on a subway or a bus and everybody's helping everybody. The neo-Nazis helping the transgenders, helping the so-and-so and so. We don't hate each other at all. But the media narrative is that we do. And that we're in these different camps and we hate each other and all these differences. That's what I love about New York is go look. There's the matrix that's our phones and our laptops that are feeding us this narrative. But out in the world, I'm not saying everybody's a saint at all, but you know what I'm trying to say. So with this documentary, I really feel like, and with any Christian thing I do, I'm working with another Christian author doing trying to bring his Christian Game of Thrones and I've already shot a short film and we won some awards, but everybody's coming from, Christianity has lots of sects, lots of different sects of beliefs. And I just don't understand why, people have to poke holes. This is the time for us all to get together. Let's put that doctrine dogma aside and we're all on the same team. So that's all.
Okay, good. Beautiful. Thank you. Nick, what would you like to share?
Yep. I just would like Grayson to once again, for anyone out there that's listening or looking at this, and if you feel like you want to maybe contribute so we could finish the project, so we can get it out there, if you want to just, reach out to Grayson, whether it's the website or the email, and talk to us, and then we'll share whatever we have everything here. We'll share whatever you need to see if you are in it just to maybe as an investor and looking to get, make money from it. Great. I mean, whatever, or if it's just because of you believe in what we're doing. And when you see the proof, the face of Jesus Christ or the picture he took, I mean, it's amazing. Grayson, just give it again, the email address and everything.
Sure. GraysonBerryProductions.com is the website. Contact@GraysonBerry.com is the email. And, we're checking that daily. We would love to talk to you, and we can walk you through from soup to nuts how everything works. I know it can be complicated sometimes in teaching somebody how a film is sold and how it makes money, but we are finally in a place where we can do that. So we look forward to it.
Yep.
Well,
and by the way, Grayson has, donated his time up to this point, which is, I can't thank him enough. So, I mean, believe me, Grayson and I both, I financed the first half. This isn't about, it's not about making money. This is about,
I understand.
We need to share this.
Yeah.
We need to share this, to the world, because the
Yes.
world needs it. The
I
world
agree.
needs it.
The world definitely needs it. Thank you so much, both of you. I mean, what you're doing is amazing, and God is smiling at both of you. So keep it up. Keep it up. Everybody, please share this video. You can go to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel, and you can share it from there as well. I'll also be sharing it on Facebook. We will also be on iHeartRadio next Wednesday night at 9 p.m., the audio. Please, please share it. I want to thank everyone out there who's listening and watching, okay? I want to thank you boys. This was awesome. Grayson, Nick, I mean, keep me posted with everything that's going on and all the updates and where you're going to be entertaining and singing and what's going on. And I'll put everything out there for you, okay?
Thank you, dear. Can't wait to see you in person. I want that hug.
It's going to happen. Listen, maybe we could have you guys in, and we'll even have maybe you singing. I'm just saying. All right?
Yeah.
You know that's got to
All right.
happen if you come in live. Uh-oh. One of my producers is here, and he can't help himself.
There you go.
Oh, the hug. He's hugging me.
You
for
live
you.
vicariously.
Oh, thank you, Ruben. Oh, that was so cute and so unexpected. That was cute. Thank you, Ruben. He just hugged me for you.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
feel
guys. This was amazing. All right, producers, take us out.
Thank you, dear.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is it really true? Is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.